hello again. Thank you for joining. So I said I wouldn't do another one of these today, but having done 3, but I've come back from the gym and I feel I have something more to say. Due to the speed of the churning out of this drivel, the likelihood that we'll get watchers in their droves is minimal. It remains to be seen if we'll get to double figures in views, but frankly, who knows and who cares? I think we'll probably be about 6 views. Is what we're aiming for. So I was actually feeling a bit blue for the first time in at least a week and a bit. Just had a moment of melancholy. I was watching Pinocchio, the Disney film. My legs in this thing are a little bit of a problem, but I was watching Pinocchio. So I was watching Pinocchio. I was just sad, but the important thing is I overcame the sadness. Now that's not an easy thing to do always. So I was in what we know as the chaos, and I was just feeling despondent and like, oh, everything's a bit too much. What I decided to do was change that and go to the gym. And you kind of have to like place, when you're feeling sad, the place you are in, the physical location, must be changed. You know, you have to. That's often a large part of the solution. Now, it doesn't always work, but if you're feeling sad and blue, change location and change location. So listen to put on some good music, and I did something productive towards a long-term goal, aka the boxing. So it was, and I feel renewed, completely transformed. Isn't that remarkable that we have the capability as humans, as human being, we have the capability to transform our state of mind with our actions. That is something remarkable. Now, it doesn't always work. Don't get me wrong. I understand to the core of my being. Sometimes you try and there's no hope. And I've seen that happen in my life. I've seen that happen in my brother's life to tragic ends. And so don't get me wrong. I understand deeply it doesn't always work. When it does work, it's actually something miraculous. That you can be in the chaos, in the sad, and you can execute. That's the right way to think. Execute tasks. You know, if you've been around the bend a few times like I have, I haven't lived a long life, but I've lived a life of many ups and downs. And the more ups and downs you go through, the more you are aware of the things that will help you. Now, this isn't a particularly revolutionary idea. It's just learning about know thyself. Know thyself. Northi Sauton, as the Greeks would say. This is the Delphic Oracle had one of the most famous slogans of wisdom of all time is know thyself. Anyway, so back to the task. So you're feeling. So as you go through life, you begin to know what you should do. You know, and it's different for everyone, but there are commonalities. We're all humans, so we have, you know, often it's like an eat something. Sometimes that's the one. Eat something, sleep, exercise, Meet a friend that who you know is a good person for you. Have someone to so you know you get the idea. You can list off more that you know. So now the strange thing about sadness is when you're feeling despondent, depressed, you pick the word. You don't want to do the things that you know will help you. That's almost the definition of depression. Um, you know what's good for you, but you don't want to do it. Now, why is that? There's a deep cause of that, or deep to unpack that sentiment requires many a tome, you know, because really it's a very dark part of yourself that is making the decisions when you're depressed, and it's one has to just have compassion for someone in that situation. But if you know what's best for you and you don't want to do it, and it's not just that you don't have the energy. There's a at least I know that I've had this experience. There's like a deep part of you within you that doesn't want to get better. Now that would be the part of you that also refuses to accept help. Very common, very common to for people in that state to reject help. Now, why would you reject help? It's a strange phenomenon, and it's like you become accustomed to the pain, and there's a certain comfort in the sadness and the pain, and you don't want it to change. But you want it to change desperately, but there's a part of you that's like refusing to refuse. So that's a strange thing. Now, why would you reject help? I think I said in episode one of the Ramble Room. What was it? What was I talking about? Rejecting help. Hmm. Give me a second whilst I was on a park bench and I've lost my train of thought. Anyway, let's get back to the topic. So accepting help. That's what I said. Okay, so in episode one, I said there's actually there's such a thing as grace, concept of grace, which is a really a Christian idea, which is one of the most profound ideas ever came up with by human being. Grace, that actually in the final analysis, there's very little you can take credit for. There's so much. If you believe in a God, the reason you have life is because it was given to you. The reason there exists food is because plants grow out of the ground by some miracle, because rain falls on the ground. And where does all this come from? You didn't do any of that. That just comes to you. That's a gift. And then so everything and then we can look at it on a sort of societal level. I mean, like, in order to go to school, there need to be roads, and they need to be like someone's invented the iPhone, and like, all these things that facilitate you. Anything that you do that's impressive and you accomplish in your life, you had all these helps along the way, and now you cannot acknowledge that and not be grateful. I mean, I'm somewhat talking out of turn here, but there's so much that you receive in your life, and if you're ignorant of that, if you're not aware of that, I think you're a fool. No offense. Just like, and if you get to this place in your life where you think, like, if you get to a good place in your life where you've accomplished a bunch of things and you're an accomplished person and you're brilliant, fantastic, more power to you. But if that turns into, oh well, look at these great things that I've done, um, and fantastic. I'm great. Without, but I have met people in the past who just are not aware of how enormous the grace is. So that's a shame, because then it's like the reason it's a problem that they're not it's just because they're wrong, just because there's you know you've just got to be aware of everything. Now, this is all a preface to say I recognise that there is great disparity in people's lives in terms of what they've received. It's all very well me sitting here and lecturing everyone, because I have had, on top of what is common to everyone, an extraordinarily lucky life. So the reason I brought all this up as well is because I think the one thing that you can claim, with the accreditation to oneself, and there's actually so much you receive. So what do you do in your life? What are the things that you can claim for yourself and pat yourself on the back for? I think one of them is accepting help. And it's a strange thing, because to be willing to receive seems like a selfish thing on the outside. But so fundamentally, the Christian idea is this: like, what makes a good person in the Christian thing is the willingness to receive grace, and so the willingness to believe in Jesus of Nazareth and what he did. And now there's a whole bunch of questions you're going to have as soon as someone says whatever Jesus was saying was true and he was the Son of God. You're like, hang on, bollocks. Fair enough. But the Christian idea is, once you get past that, it's like a willingness to receive is big thumbs up to that attitude. That's the Christian worldview. It's like, okay, so accepting help. It's a strange thing, because it requires an emptying of one's pride, but there's all sorts of reasons why people aren't accepting of help, and I my older brother did and didn't accept help, and so okay, difficult thing. So what else can you take credit for? Accepting help, and then I think also what you can take credit for is the decision to move forward in pain. When you're suffering and everything wants to tell you to give up, and then there's that small voice that says, no, carry on. There's a goal, we're moving forward, I'm helping this person, we're going, bam. That little decision. And if you're lucky in your life, you make it many, many times. Of the things that I take credit for in my life, I take credit for that. That there have been many times in my life when I wanted so desperately to give up. Now, also the other side of the story, there were many times I wanted desperately to give up and did give up, and gave up and gave up and gave up and gave up. But that's life. I failed many times. Fantastic. But the times when I didn't, that is something precious. When everything inside of you says, I want to give up, but you have faith that things will get better, and you have faith that you can carry on, and it's not going to be, the whole world is not going to be too much, and so you just carry on, and that's something special. I had one more thing to say. Yes. Winston Churchill said, failure is not fatal. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It's the conviction or courage to continue that counts. What was I saying? I had another place to go to on that little train of thought. Hmm. Well, I think after this enormous delay in speech, perhaps we should wrap the episode up. So, if you have listened, thank you for listening.